The morning mist hung low over Windsor Castle as Catherine, Princess of Wales, stood by the tall windows of their private quarters. Her fingers traced the cool glass while she watched the grounds come alive with the quiet bustle of palace staff preparing for what would be one of the most difficult days of her life. Today, Prince William would depart for a 6-month diplomatic mission to the Commonwealth nations, a journey that would take him across 3 continents and away from his family for longer than they had ever been separated. Catherine had known this day would come. The discussions had started months earlier in the mahogany-paneled rooms of Buckingham Palace, where senior advisors spoke in measured tones about duty, service, and the importance of strengthening ties with Commonwealth partners. William had been chosen personally by King Charles for this crucial mission, a sign of the trust placed in the future king. But knowing something intellectually and feeling it emotionally were 2 entirely different experiences. The children had been told the night before. Prince George, now 14 and increasingly aware of the weight of royal responsibility, had nodded solemnly when his father explained the mission's importance. Princess Charlotte, 12 and fiercely protective of family time, had asked pointed questions about video calls and time zones. Little Prince Louis, still only 9, had simply asked if Daddy would miss his upcoming school play. William had knelt down, looked his youngest son in the eyes, and promised that nothing, absolutely nothing, would prevent him from watching the performance even if he had to join virtually from halfway around the world. As Catherine prepared breakfast in their private kitchen, a ritual she insisted on maintaining despite having staff who could handle such tasks, she reflected on how much their lives had changed since those early days at St. Andrews University. Back then, William was simply the boy who lived down the hall, the one who made her laugh during late-night study sessions and brought her coffee during exam week. Now, he was second in line to the throne, carrying the expectations of an entire nation and the Commonwealth realms beyond. The sound of footsteps on the stairs interrupted her thoughts. William appeared in the doorway, already dressed in his travel clothes, his garment bag slung over one shoulder. He paused there for a moment, taking in the scene of his wife preparing their final breakfast together for the next 6 months. The morning light caught the auburn highlights in Catherine's hair, and he was struck by how beautiful she looked, even in this simple moment, wearing nothing more than a cream-colored sweater and jeans. They ate together in comfortable silence, the kind that only comes from years of marriage and shared understanding. Occasionally, one would reach across the table to squeeze the other's hand, or William would brush a strand of hair from Catherine's face. These small gestures spoke volumes about their connection, the unshakable bond that had carried them through scandals, public scrutiny, and the relentless pressure of royal life. After breakfast, they walked hand in hand through the castle's private gardens, a space where they could be themselves away from cameras and protocol. The roses were in full bloom, their scent filling the morning air. Catherine had always loved this garden, seeing it as a sanctuary where her children could play freely and where she and William could steal moments of normalcy. Today, every step felt precious, every shared glance a memory to be treasured during the long separation ahead. William stopped near the fountain at the garden's center, the same spot where they often brought the children to feed the ducks. He turned to face his wife, his hands gently framing her face. For a moment, they were no longer the Prince and Princess of Wales, future king and queen consort. They were simply William and Catherine, a husband and wife facing their first major separation in 15 years of marriage. The palace staff had begun gathering near the main entrance, their faces reflecting the solemnity of the moment. Security personnel checked and rechecked their preparations, while household staff stood quietly in the background. Everyone understood the significance of this departure, not just for the royal family, but for the institution of the monarchy itself. William's mission would involve delicate negotiations, cultural exchanges, and diplomatic discussions that could shape the Commonwealth's future for generations to come. As they made their way toward the waiting convoy of vehicles, Catherine's composure remained steady. Years of royal training had taught her to maintain grace under pressure, to present a calm exterior even when her heart was breaking. But those who knew her well could see the subtle signs of her emotion in the way she held her shoulders slightly higher than usual, the careful control of her breathing, the deliberate steadiness of her steps. The children had said their goodbyes privately, understanding instinctively that their parents needed this final moment together. George had shaken his father's hand like a young man before being pulled into a fierce hug. Charlotte had whispered something in William's ear that made him smile and nod seriously. Louis had simply wrapped his arms around his father's neck and held on tight, communicating everything he needed to say without words. Now, as the couple approached the convoy, photographers and camera crews maintained a respectful distance. This was not a public event or a staged photo opportunity. This was a genuine moment of human emotion, and even the most seasoned royal correspondents understood the need to capture it with sensitivity and respect. The images that would emerge from this morning would become iconic, representing not just a royal departure but a universal experience of love, duty, and sacrifice. The sun had fully risen now, casting long shadows across the castle grounds. A gentle breeze stirred the leaves of the ancient oak trees that had witnessed centuries of royal comings and goings. In this moment, William and Catherine became part of that long history, their own chapter in the ongoing story of the British monarchy, yet their experience remained deeply personal and entirely their own. William's security detail maintained their positions while giving the royal couple as much privacy as possible. These men and women had protected the family for years, had witnessed intimate family moments and public triumphs alike. They understood that their role today was not just about physical security, but about preserving the dignity of this farewell, ensuring that William and Catherine could say goodbye with the grace and privacy that such a moment deserved. The convoy vehicles sat ready, engines humming quietly. William's personal aide stood nearby with final briefing documents and communication devices, but even he kept his distance, recognizing that these final minutes belonged to the couple alone. The aide had worked with William for over a decade, had seen him navigate countless official engagements and public appearances, but had rarely witnessed such raw emotion carefully controlled beneath the surface of royal protocol. As William and Catherine stood facing each other beside the waiting convoy, the weight of their separation seemed to settle around them like a heavy cloak. The morning that had begun with such ordinary domestic rituals now transformed into something far more significant. This was not just a goodbye between husband and wife, but a moment that would define their relationship's resilience in the face of duty and distance. Catherine reached into her handbag and withdrew a small leather journal, its pages filled with her careful handwriting. She had spent weeks preparing this gift, writing letters for each day William would be away, along with photographs of family moments, pressed flowers from their garden, and small sketches the children had made. Her voice was steady but soft as she explained that he should open one page each evening, wherever he might be in the world, to feel connected to home. William accepted the journal with reverence, understanding immediately the love and effort that had gone into its creation. In return, he pulled out a small velvet box containing a simple silver bracelet engraved with coordinates. Catherine's eyes filled with tears as she realized they were the exact latitude and longitude of the spot where they stood, this place that would forever mark their farewell. He fastened it around her wrist with gentle fingers, his own hands trembling slightly with emotion he could no longer completely suppress. The palace staff watched from their respectful distance as the couple shared these intimate gifts. Many of them had served the royal family for decades, had witnessed births, christenings, weddings, and state occasions. But this moment felt uniquely personal and profound. The head butler, who had worked at Windsor for 37 years, later told colleagues that he had never seen such a perfect balance of royal dignity and human emotion. William's private secretary approached discreetly, indicating that departure schedules required attention, but the prince held up a gentle hand, requesting just a few more minutes. This mission, crucial as it was for the Commonwealth's future, could wait these final precious moments. He had learned from his father and grandfather that duty to country was paramount, but he was also determined to honor his duty to his family in ways that felt authentic and true to his own values. Catherine straightened William's tie with the automatic gesture of a wife who had performed this small service countless times before. But today her fingers lingered on the fabric, and she took extra care to ensure everything was perfect. Her training as a royal had taught her that details mattered, that public presentation was part of service, but this attention came from something far deeper than protocol. She wanted him to look his best as he represented their family and their nation around the world. They began walking slowly toward the lead vehicle, their pace deliberately unhurried despite the waiting schedule. Each step felt significant, a conscious choice to savor these final moments rather than rush toward an inevitable separation. Palace photographers captured their progress with long lenses from carefully positioned locations, ensuring that this historic farewell would be documented for future generations while maintaining the privacy of their most intimate exchanges. William opened the car door himself, another small departure from standard protocol, but one that felt important in this moment. Before stepping inside, he turned back to Catherine one final time. The words they exchanged were spoken too quietly for anyone else to hear, but their body language told the story of a love that had weathered 15 years of marriage, 3 children, countless public engagements, and the relentless scrutiny that came with their royal roles. Catherine's composure, which had remained steady throughout the morning, finally showed signs of the emotion she had been carefully controlling. A single tear traced down her cheek as William cupped her face in his hands and kissed her forehead with infinite tenderness. This gesture, so simple yet so intimate, captured the essence of their relationship and the difficulty of their separation in a way that would resonate with people around the world who understood the challenge of balancing personal love with professional obligations. The security team maintained their vigilant watch while allowing this moment to unfold naturally. The lead protection officer, a veteran of royal security with 23 years of experience, would later describe this as one of the most moving scenes he had ever witnessed in his career. The balance of public duty and private emotion, the grace under pressure, and the authentic love between the couple made this farewell something special, even within the context of royal life. William finally stepped into the vehicle, but kept the window down and continued holding Catherine's hand through the opening. The convoy remained stationary as drivers and security personnel waited for the final signal to depart. This delay, technically a deviation from carefully planned schedules, was permitted without question. Everyone present understood that some moments transcended timetables and protocols, that human connection and family love deserved their own time and space. As the convoy finally began to move, Catherine walked alongside the slow-moving vehicle for several steps, her hand still connected to William's through the window. This spontaneous gesture was not planned or rehearsed, but emerged naturally from their reluctance to break their physical connection. Palace staff would later note that this image became one of the most powerful and widely shared photographs of royal life in recent memory. When Catherine finally released William's hand and stepped back, she remained standing in place as the convoy disappeared through the castle gates. Her posture remained straight and dignified, but those close enough could see her chest rising and falling with carefully controlled breaths. She stood there for several long minutes, watching until the last security vehicle vanished from sight before slowly turning back toward the castle where her children waited and where she would continue her royal duties alone for the next 6 months. The morning sun had climbed higher in the sky, burning off the early mist and revealing the full beauty of the castle grounds. Gardeners resumed their work, household staff returned to their duties, and the normal rhythm of palace life gradually reasserted itself. But everyone who had witnessed the farewell carried with them the memory of something extraordinary, a reminder that behind the titles and ceremonies, the royal family consisted of real people with real emotions, facing very human challenges. Inside the castle, Catherine was greeted by her children, who had been watching from an upstairs window. Without words, they formed a family group hug, understanding instinctively that their mother needed their comfort and support. Prince George, showing wisdom beyond his years, suggested they plan something special for Daddy's first video call that evening. Princess Charlotte immediately began organizing a welcome home countdown calendar, while little Prince Louis simply snuggled closer to his mother, offering the unconditional love that children provide so naturally. The worldwide response to photographs and video of the farewell was immediate and overwhelming. Social media platforms filled with messages of support for the royal family, with people sharing their own experiences of separation and long-distance love. The images transcended cultural and national boundaries, speaking to universal experiences of love, duty, sacrifice, and the challenge of maintaining relationships across distance and demanding careers. The days following William's departure revealed the true strength of Catherine's character and the depth of preparation that had gone into managing this separation. While the world had witnessed the emotional farewell, few understood the careful planning and personal resilience required to maintain royal duties, family responsibilities, and personal well-being during such a challenging time. Catherine had spent months preparing not just practically but emotionally for this period, working with trusted advisors, family friends, and her own support network to ensure she could serve effectively while missing her husband. The first week brought unexpected challenges that tested every aspect of her preparation. A minor diplomatic crisis required immediate royal attention, medical emergencies in the family circle demanded her presence, and the children faced their own adjustments to their father's absence. Catherine handled each situation with grace and competence, but those closest to her could see the effort required to maintain her composure while privately dealing with the loneliness of an empty bedroom and the absence of her closest confidant and advisor. The daily video calls with William became sacred family time, carefully scheduled around his diplomatic meetings and the children's school activities. These conversations, lasting anywhere from 30 minutes to over an hour depending on circumstances, provided stability for the entire family. Catherine would prepare the children with updates about their father's journey, helping them understand the importance of his work while maintaining their emotional connection. The calls often ended with virtual bedtime stories, homework help conducted across continents, and private conversations between husband and wife after the children had gone to sleep. William's mission took him first to Australia, where he spent 3 weeks engaging with government officials, business leaders, and community representatives. The photographs and videos that emerged showed him in his element, confidently representing British interests while building genuine relationships with Commonwealth partners. But his personal letters and messages to Catherine revealed the effort required to maintain his public effectiveness while privately missing his family. He wrote about waking each morning and reaching automatically for her hand before remembering the empty space beside him. The leather journal Catherine had prepared proved to be a lifeline for William during the most difficult moments of separation. Each evening, no matter where he was in the world, he would open to the next page and find her words waiting for him. Some entries were practical updates about the children's activities and royal engagements. Others were deeply personal reflections on their marriage, their shared dreams, and her pride in his dedication to duty. The pressed flowers from their garden and the children's artwork provided tangible connections to home that he could touch and smell, bridging the vast distances with sensory memories. Back at Windsor, Catherine established new routines that honored William's absence while maintaining family stability. She moved her own bedroom temporarily to the children's wing of their private quarters, creating a sense of togetherness that helped everyone adjust to the changed family dynamic. Evening meals became longer, more conversational affairs where the children could share their thoughts and feelings about their father's absence. Catherine encouraged them to write letters, create artwork, and plan surprises for his return, giving them positive ways to channel their missing him into creative expression. The public response to the royal separation continued to evolve as people around the world followed William's mission and Catherine's solo appearances. Media coverage balanced respect for their privacy with genuine interest in how a modern royal couple managed such challenges. Catherine's public engagements during this period showcased her confidence and competence, with observers noting her increased authority and presence when representing the royal family independently. Her speeches, carefully crafted but delivered with authentic emotion, spoke to themes of resilience, service, and the strength found in supporting one another through difficult times. International media particularly focused on how this separation demonstrated the evolution of the monarchy toward more genuine human connection. William's mission included unprecedented access to his personal reflections on representing Britain abroad, while Catherine's solo work highlighted causes and organizations that particularly resonated with her own passions and expertise. Their separation, while personally difficult, allowed each of them to develop their individual royal identities in ways that strengthened their partnership when they were reunited. The most challenging moment came during the third month of William's absence when Prince Louis fell ill with a serious respiratory infection requiring hospitalization. Catherine spent 4 days at the hospital, maintaining a calm presence for her youngest child while privately struggling with the absence of her husband during this crisis. William, informed immediately of the situation, faced the agonizing decision of whether to interrupt his diplomatic mission to return home. After consultations with medical professionals, family advisors, and lengthy conversations with Catherine, they decided together that Louis was receiving excellent care and that William should continue his crucial work. This crisis tested their marriage and their individual strength in ways they had never experienced before. Catherine later described those hospital nights as among the most difficult of her life, not because of Louis's condition, which improved steadily with treatment, but because of the profound loneliness of facing a parent's worst fears without her partner beside her. William, conducting diplomatic meetings while his heart remained in a London hospital room, demonstrated a level of personal sacrifice that even seasoned royal observers found remarkable. The resolution came through an unexpected source of strength. Their extended family and the broader royal household rallied around Catherine in ways that surprised everyone involved. King Charles visited the hospital personally, spending hours with his grandson and daughter-in-law. Princess Anne adjusted her own schedule to provide practical support, while the Queen Consort organized meal deliveries and household assistance. The support staff at Windsor, many of whom had worked for the family for decades, showed a level of personal care and dedication that went far beyond professional duty. When Louis recovered fully and returned home, the family celebrated with a video call that lasted nearly 3 hours. William, calling from New Zealand where his diplomatic schedule had taken him, read bedtime stories, helped with homework, and spent private time with each family member. The relief and joy visible in these conversations reminded everyone involved that behind the royal titles and public duties, this remained fundamentally a family dealing with the universal challenges of love, separation, work, and parenthood. As William's mission entered its final months, the anticipation of reunion began building within the family and capturing public imagination worldwide. Catherine began planning a private homecoming celebration that would honor William's service while prioritizing family reconnection. The children contributed ideas for decorations, special meals, and surprise presentations about their activities during his absence. Catherine herself planned intimate moments and conversations that would help them reconnect as a couple after their longest separation. The success of William's diplomatic mission became increasingly apparent as he concluded negotiations, signed agreements, and built relationships that would benefit the Commonwealth for years to come. His work in promoting trade partnerships, educational exchanges, and environmental cooperation exceeded all expectations. But those who worked closest with him noted that his most powerful motivation remained his desire to serve his country and family with honor, knowing that Catherine and the children were supporting his efforts from home. The final weeks of separation brought an unexpected gift. Both William and Catherine discovered personal strengths they had not known they possessed. Catherine's confidence in her individual royal role reached new heights, while William's diplomatic skills flourished in ways that impressed even veteran international negotiators. Their separation, while personally challenging, had allowed each of them to grow individually in ways that would ultimately strengthen their marriage and their service to the nation. As the final days approached, the world watched with anticipation for the reunion that would mark not just the end of a successful diplomatic mission, but the completion of a personal journey that had tested and ultimately strengthened one of the world's most watched marriages. The soft farewell that had captured hearts worldwide would soon be balanced by a homecoming that promised to be equally moving and meaningful for everyone who had followed their story of love, duty, and resilience across continents and months of separation.